The backlog refinement is a very important ceremony where the product owner, the development team, and maybe some folks from the business get together. Typically, this happens maybe 1 hour for 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, depends on the work they want to go through. But what happens is they meet and they say, hey, what are we going to be doing in the next sprint? What are the priorities that we need to focus on? And how do we start developing the user stories to be able to meet those priorities? So they get to meet and they interact, they talk, and basically the outcome of that ceremony is that they would be able to have a good understanding of the work that is going to be coming in the next sprint or the sprint after that, and they will be able to come to some kind of consensus or agreement as to what's the goal or what are the goals for subsequent sprints. Typically, the recommendation is a product backlog should be deep. I'd like you to look for the definition of deep, DEEP, when they say backlog is deep. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, in the comment section below. But typically, the recommendation is that a backlog should be deep at a high level. That means that the backlog should be healthy, a way where we can have 2 sprints worth of backlog for the teams to be able to work on. So in that case, the teams are not starved of incoming work and they have a good runway to develop the application or the solution that they are building. Now, back to the story of a backlog refinement session. So the team meets, they talk, they discuss the requirements, they have a skeletal understanding of the work, they have a good understanding of the goal that they are striving for, and the team and the product owner, the team led by the product owner, start the process of writing those stories and ensuring that those stories make sense. They also put in the acceptance criteria and typically leave that meeting with some understanding of the complexity of the work. The development team typically takes that refined work and think about it. Think about what are the tasks that they need to put under those user stories that will help them. So as an example, this is the story that the product owner comes up with, which includes the user story as described or as recommended by the invest criteria, and then the acceptance criteria. The development team now develops the tasks that are going to be done under this story that would support, meaning that if they complete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tasks, this story will be considered as complete. So they build those tasks, but first of all, they have to have an understanding of what this story is so that they can build those tasks. Typically, on the burn down actually burns down this task, because it's once these tasks are burnt down, typically they are measured in hours, for these various small tasks. Then the user story, which is measured in story point, would be complete. Long story short, the development team will take that information from the backlog refinement sections, build their task that would help complete this user story, and voila, that session is complete. Typically, it's a short session, 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes for some teams, in some cases 2 hours, but it is a good practice that teams should have to move them towards being better prepared for the sprint planning. The sprint planning is, the subject of the next conversation, but at a high level, the backlog refinement is key. It is like a pre-wedding, a pre-match if you are a football fan. The idea is the team should do some sort of dress rehearsals prior to the main event. That way, the main event has a likely chance of being more successful than if they just go directly into the main event. And that's it. The backlog refinement in less than 5 minutes.